thank you for being here, and ask for approval of the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Motion from Tyler,
Second.
second from Sammy, thank you. Any discussion, questions, additions?
I just noticed there's about getting the appropriate permits and certificates of appropriateness. Was a thought, Andrew, and would that be under old business or new business?
That was more so public comment, just for Teresa.
Okay.
It wasn't, it was just, so we were aware of it, just wanted to make sure that we kind of had that in front of us, because Teresa's gonna send that out to
Okay.
business owners and property owners downtown, so I was
Okay.
just thinking, public comment, it doesn't have to
Okay.
be an actual agenda item.
Sounds good, okay.
Okay. Anything else? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Public comment, 5 minutes. Thank you for coming. You'll have another opportunity at the end of the meeting if you'd like. Nothing now? Okay, moving on. Approval of minutes from our last regular meeting, June 19th.
I'll make that motion.
Motion from Bruce,
I'll second.
second from Dee. Any discussion, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Financials from June. Anything, Carmen or Andrew, to point out?
Yep, I have one change to the financials. On the unpaid bill report for Urban Vinyl, it was listed at $1,200, even though the invoice should have been for $1,075 and 90 cents. So I just wanted to make
Okay, thank you.
very minor.
Yeah. Anything else? I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make that motion.
Of
Motion
the
from-
financials?
Yeah. Motion from Bruce.
I did have a question.
We have a motion on the floor. Want to withdraw your motion?
I'll withdraw the motion.
Okay.
Did we get a copy of the balance sheet?
Now, because we are finalizing the month end, the accountant wanted to hold off on the compiled financial statements until August, just to make sure that we have everything in from the last fiscal year. So we will get an update at the August meeting.
Okay. Is there any ongoing issues with any of the loans that the DDA has had?
No.
Okay.
Is there one specifically that you're referring to?
I had one of the, second person that has had a loan on our books that has said that they weren't sure how much they owed you still. And
I think we only have one loan out right now.
okay.
You're talking about the, what's that loan, revolving loan program?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think there's only one out, but we can follow up on that.
And I can follow up after the meeting.
Okay, all right, thank you. So, is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Bruce, thank you.
I'll second.
Tyler, second. Any further discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thanks again. Annual election of officers, as I understand it, anybody on this board can nominate a person for these positions, and I think that person has to accept, and then we vote individually on these positions. Does that sound right?
Yep, that's
Okay.
correct.
All right. So I would open up nominations for chairperson.
Nominate Kyle for chair.
I'll second that.
Thank you. I accept.
And if she didn't, I was gonna, so. You're in.
Okay, all in favor? I guess,
Oh,
sorry, no, I think we're doing it right. Does it need to be a roll call?
No, it's just a voice vote.
Okay.
But it was Sammy and Deanna, or who was it?
It was Bruce and Sammy.
Bruce and Sammy. Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? One abstention. Vice Chair, I would like to nominate Bruce.
I'll second that.
accept.
So Kyle and who's second? Tyler? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. I guess we should state who these current well, does it?
Yeah, I don't even remember who was vice treasurer or
So
secretary.
currently, the chairperson was Kyle, vice chairperson was Karen Goodman, who is not here today. Treasurer was Bruce, and then secretary was Deanna.
Thank you. Would open up nominations for treasurer.
I would like to nominate Ben.
I cannot,
Okay.
not with my current role. Now, what I do. But
Oh,
I do
understood.
appreciate that, thank you very much.
Makes sense.
I don't want to be fired, Dee.
Or might that work out for you? Right.
To nominate Sammy.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion from Bruce, second from Deanna for Sammy.
Was Bill.
Do you-
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion from Bill.
and Deanna.
Both B names.
Yeah, B names.
Do you have any, do you adopt?
Are you accepting?
Sure.
So Sammy, just to kind of reiterate, the responsibility of the treasurer. So basically, as part of the DDA team and umbrella of the Chamber of Commerce, we handle the finances, and part of my duties is I do the check. So you would review the unpaid bills, and then you would also sign the check at the end of every meeting.
Okay.
And then, of course, if there's any questions, we can work together, and it's also open for the board to ask any questions during the meeting as well.
Okay.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? One abstention. Noted. Thank you, Sammy. And secretary.
Nominate Deanna.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Either one will matter.
Ben was a second.
Bruce and Ben, or Deanna?
Yeah. Deanna?
I'll accept.
Okay. Thank you.
I could have done that one, though.
Next time.
Duly noted.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Annual review of committees. Committees will be evaluated and decisions made for the year on committee makeup.
So currently, right now, we have a number of the committees are the ad hoc committees, and basically, what we have is the facade grant committee, which was also reviewed at the last meeting. So currently on that facade grant committee would be Kyle Mosier and Sammy Lukashevic, and then also the team of the DDA, myself and Andrew. And then we have Streetscape, which consists of Kyle Mosier, Bill Gamble, Bruce Allen, and David Lukashevic, and the team of the DDA here. And then Social District would be Bill Gamble, Deanna Marsh, Karen Goodman, and Lindsay Twidorsky, who is also not here today. And then, of course, someone as a representative from the DDA. And then we have the Riverwalk, which isn't really an ad hoc, it's just more so of a standalone recording from the city, the updates of the Riverwalk.
Okay.
So do we have any other updates or changes that we would like to make to the current ad hoc committees, or removal of any, or adding on to any of the committees that we existing have?
I think that I would like to eliminate the Riverwalk as an ad hoc committee because it's not really a committee. And it can be if needed, but it's not.
So that could be as a standalone item under old business for future updates.
I'm happy with the other three.
Is the tax increment financing subcommittee that we have not considered the same? Is it different?
I don't think we have a TIF.
It was the,
For the gap funding that we've been working on.
I don't think did we form?
Mhm.
Did we? Okay, I'm sorry.
We've been
I didn't-
meeting,
Yeah, okay.
Who's on that, Tyler?
myself, Bruce, and Bill.
Okay.
I don't think it'll need to be around for much longer, but.
Oh, you're talking about the gap financing? Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Yeah.
Okay. So you're comfortable with that committee still being in place?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so that's 4.
I have a question about I know we don't have an ad hoc committee for the streetscape project.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
Yeah.
Okay, so on that, because the streetscape is so far out, and I don't think it's a separate ad hoc committee then, just something to talk about in the future about moving signage up to a higher priority than signage downtown, parking signage, eating signage.
Let's talk about that when we cover streetscape then. We're
Let's-
just
yeah.
covering what
Ad hoc
committees
committees right
exist.
now. Yep.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, do these need approval, or is it just an annual review?
I would like to have an approval to remove the Riverwalk off of the ad hoc.
I don't think you need it, because I think as chair, I can form and dissolve committees.
Oh, okay, perfect.
That's because I read the bylaws recently.
Thank you for that.
Okay. You can also form and dissolve standing committees.
There's just, what do you mean?
Like if you wanted to create at mid-year.
Yeah.
A standing committee, we can do that.
Like, we call them ad hoc committees, but yeah.
Um,
When you say standing,
Standing, so
I'm sure.
Yeah.
We don't call, they're not called that in the bylaws. I forget, Bruce, what they're called, but
we had some distinction between the design committee that used to exist and ad hoc committees that we, were sort of built.
yeah, I think if we formed more official committees, then they required minutes and that sort of thing. And so what we've been doing the last few years is we're referring to them as ad hoc committees.
But should we want to, we could create.
Certainly, yes. That's the way I understand it, but I'll find it in here. Anything else? Okay. Moving on to annual review of rules governing the Manistee Downtown Development Authority. Now we're back to that. Does this require approval, or is it just an annual, I think it's a requirement that we review it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and if there's any changes to that, we'll need to make those appointments.
Is there anything that's been on the table or been discussed or changes needed to be made?
There was one thing that I can recall for the next meeting, page it was on. So it says, page 5, regular meetings, section 2, regular meetings of the board should be held at 8 o'clock. It should actually be 8:30.
So we changed that last year.
Yeah,
Did we?
we did,
I
yeah.
thought we
Yeah.
did.
Maybe it
Okay.
didn't get recorded,
Okay,
so we can consider that a typo?
yeah.
Needs to be changed on the city's website though.
Are there rules in here also regarding, and I'm sorry that I don't know this, but regarding how many meetings a board member may miss?
That is on there.
It's page
Absent, I see
4.
it, for section 3.
Yeah.
So board absence, that's on page 3.
Yep, I see that.
I know.
Are there any other changes that you guys?
Well, I feel like we either need to adhere by that or change that.
Well, to me, it's confusing to know whether they're excused.
Oh,
I'm o-
Basically, the way I look at it, if you're gone for 3 or more meetings, then there should be further discussions, but we've never had an issue with that.
This says 3 consecutive,
On page 4.
yeah. Do you have any thoughts, Deanna, or proposed changes?
well, I feel like we only meet once a month, and so we get a lot done. And out of 12 meetings, if 3 consecutive, then you come back to one, and if you miss a few more, I mean, I think there's some absences, and I guess, yes, excuse absence could be defined, but just kind of to look at that, so we're always moving forward on the same page as a committee, as a group.
If excused or unexcused, I mean, this is a commitment,
Mhm.
and we're charged with a big duty. If your absences are excused, maybe this isn't your priority. I mean, that's just how I feel.
Mhm. I don't,
I don't love 8:30 meetings, but I'm here, so, and
Yeah.
it's on my calendar to be here.
would striking excused absences, would that be helpful in just 3 consecutive?
I would support that.
I think we need to strike excused and consecutive. I mean, 3 out of 12 months is a third of the time you're not here.
Okay. Any thoughts, Bruce? Bill?
Just any bylaws changes will have to go to city council as well.
Okay.
I think excuse typically is when, they call ahead, call the chair, or the executive director, let them know this came up, I can't make it.
Mhm.
And I think that's should be the protocol. That's, when you're not going to make a meeting, you let the chair, and that way it can be announced at the beginning, and I
Yeah.
think that's kind of documenting that it was excused.
Okay.
That's just my comments.
Were the bylaw changes last year approved by city council?
I'd have to check. I would
So if they weren't, then
I would think
we
so.
could just add the changes from last year as well, or, and get the 8:30 fixed and then the excused removed if we.
I think confirming that, just in case it would, it should have been. I mean, typically it's a correspondence from the executive director to my office to put on the agenda with the memo.
What if we removed 3 consecutive instead of excused? And that keeps the excuse protocol out there, but it's then just 3 meetings in a year, not necessarily 3 consecutive.
Well, I guess I'm for clarity. In paragraph 4, it says 50%. So what's 3 versus 6 that we're talking about here?
3 more?
Well, it says if you're missing 3 consecutive, we have to report it to the city. If we miss 50% of the meetings, we report it to the city. So we're talking 3 versus 6? What are we really talking here?
I feel like the verbiage should really say 3, like on the 4th meeting, then exactly what Sammy's is saying, then it's not any longer your priority to be here.
But at that point, we're just reporting it to the city, and the city's supposed to contact us and say, what are you doing?
Mhm.
At 6, can be nullified. So I'm looking for clarity is all I'm doing.
It's a good
Yeah.
question.
I like it. I agree with Sammy. If you signed up for this, be here. And if you're not, we'll find someone else, but we're not being clear in what we're trying to accomplish at this point.
I think a lot of times when there's 3 consecutive, it triggers a letter from my office asking, to talk to them. This has been noticed, and, basically further missing of meetings could result in removal. So sometimes we'll get a call saying, yeah, I'm just not, I can't make the meetings and I need to step down, or it'll be, well, I had a couple things, but I plan to attend, so.
I don't disagree with any of this, so please don't interpret this as, opposition. I just want to point out that right now, this committee is in a really stable place, and most people show up most meetings, and we don't have a problem filling seats. Rules like that typically appear because there are other committees, there are other cities where, they do have problems filling volunteer board positions like this. And so they're more lenient about showing up. So if we tighten it, we just have to be mindful of the fact it's there, because a lot of places have trouble filling positions. And we could be in that position again someday.
Mhm.
I just point that out. The reason it's there is because, sometimes in some places, these are hard to fill.
Yeah, well, thanks for the perspective. So are there any proposed changes?
I did not mean we should withdraw it. I just.
No. So I am all about so then that should read 3 absences, not 3 excused, so 3 absences. of any 3 meetings, the board members shall report in writing to the city manager. So then, after the 3 missed meetings, not consecutive, but 3 missed meetings, then they're reached out to by well, it says the city manager here, to find out what their intent is, like to remain on the board or to not remain on the board. So I guess that would be step 2, like to reach out to the board member. But then we would have to get rid of the verbiage of 50% of the yearly scheduled meetings. We'd have to get rid of that. Because you can't have it both ways. It can't be 3 or 50% of the meetings.
So what's the suggestion for item 4 then? That we just
Delete, right?
delete item 4 altogether?
I think so, because item 3, if we added item 3 takes care of it.
Yeah, I think like with contact and then kind of the 6 is kind of the end.
Okay.
I think it's, want to move that to 5 or say 4. I think there should be an attempt made to, if someone had a couple things happening.
And it does state that in section 3. City manager will contact the board member in writing and question his or her continued ability or interest in the board. So then you would know.
And I'll just say in practice with other boards, we'll send a letter. Sometimes we won't hear back. I'll make a call and then we'll have a discussion.
Okay.
But some people do just vanish. And I don't think that's the case here.
Right.
But, so it's up to,
Any further discussion?
it could be after 2 consecutive, a letter is sent, and then after 4. I just think it's process-wise, it'd be nice to get
Have
an
it.
official letter
Mm-hmm.
and say, well, we sent this out this date, you didn't respond, this is what the next step is. So just my suggestion, but
Bill's suggestion, as I hear it, is after 2 consecutive, and then moving to item 4, it would be
4, so.
4. What do you,
I support that.
so,
So we're moving from 3.
well, at this point, it's just a suggestion, so
Oh,
I think we need a motion to make any changes, but.
but this is the only thing that's being.
Well, and then item 4, it would move to, Bill's suggesting they would move it to 4 instead of 50%.
And are we,
Be a third of the meetings.
Okay.
No, 4.
and are we taking out excused versus unexcused? Like, no matter what happens, if they miss 2 consecutive, they're getting a letter? Because if I contact Kyle and say, hey, I'm on vacation, and then my dad happens to pass away, pray God, Dad, you don't, but next month, now I'm getting a letter? Those were excused versus unexcused, and now all of a sudden we get a letter and actually had a reason to be gone.
But that doesn't mean, if you're
Just that-
getting a letter, it doesn't mean that you're being,
But the way we're writing this is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm just thinking as an outsider looking in on this. I know what we're trying to accomplish. I
Right.
get that.
right. But I don't think that missing 2 and getting a letter means you're off the board.
Doesn't. It just means I'm getting contacted. But I had an excuse of why I couldn't be here.
Right.
That's all. I know. Why is he
I know,
here
there's
today?
something-
Didn't show up today.
It happens, right? It happens.
Well, we don't have a motion on anything yet, so I think, do we make a motion on all changes or make a motion on individual changes?
I think it should be all, because I think that this hangs together.
Okay,
Whatever you do, it hangs together.
okay,
So it's, reducing the letter down to 2, it's, a total of 4 misses, and then it gets reported to, to
Okay.
city council.
okay. And the only other change that's on the table is just that typo for
The 8:30.
the time, so,
That might already be.
yeah.
Because they do agree, 6 is, we're going too far. If you're not here for half these meetings, that's too much.
Yeah.
So
I think-
let's reduce 4,
Yeah,
item 4.
right.
I'd like to point out that we've never really had an issue with board members missing, more than 2 consecutive, and if so, it with, good reason. So it isn't a reoccurring problem that I've had with any of you. So I just wanted to make that point.
And in order to move forward, I need a clear motion. And if we don't have one, that's fine, but I'll open up for a clear motion at this time.
I'll make a motion to confirm the 8:30 start
Okay.
change.
Second.
Motion from Bill, second from Bruce. Any discussion on that?
So your motion was to move or change the absent from 3 to 2?
No, his motion was to confirm the 8:30 start.
Just
Oh,
that,
that's
just
it.
that.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm still on the whole board member thing.
So
Okay,
any
sorry.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Any other proposed changes?
So then I would make a motion that in section 3, we change, the motion would be that we change the verbiage from absent, not excused absent, but from absent, that we change the number down to 2, that they would get a letter after the second consecutive absence from the city manager.
Motion from Deanna, is that motion clear?
So you would like to change that absent from 3 to 2?
Correct, and to remove the word excused.
And remove the word excused, okay?
Is there a second for that?
I'll second it because I think we need to vote on it.
Okay, second from Bruce. Any discussion or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No.
Do I say aye to oppose?
I would say opposed.
Okay, so opposition, 3 opposition, 4 oppositions. I don't think.
I like 2, I just don't think we should remove the word excused, that's all.
Okay. Motion failed. Any other motions?
Who would say if a board member is absent from 2 consecutive scheduled meetings without an excused absence for any of their 3 meetings, so put 2 in there instead of 3, but keep the word excused.
Is that a motion?
I'm not.
Okay.
Using clarity right now.
Yeah, I would be okay with that, because defining the word excused actually is kind of, maybe we'd have to go into that. So
Right.
leaving the word excused, but definitely changing it down to 2 consecutive. So I will change the motion.
It's a new motion.
It's a new motion that we would just change the absence down to 2 consecutive, and then they would receive a letter from the city manager.
Second.
Motion from Deanna, second from Bruce. Any discussion?
We're leaving excused then. Right.
Yes.
You did not make a motion.
He
I did not.
No.
No.
It was from
It's
Deanna.
Deanna.
Got it, okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you.
And-
Yes, go ahead.
And the companion, is there still support for reducing the total down to, from 6 to 4?
That was not suggested,
Not yet.
not yet.
But-
I'm moving on, but we can make another motion if you'd like.
I think it fits. You're right. It goes hand in hand to
I'll make a
complete the.
motion to change the total from 6 missed meetings to 4.
And item 4,
So it's going to go to 25%.
yep. So there's a motion.
30%.
33.
30%. 30%, yeah, 30.
So there's a motion from Bruce,
I'll second that motion.
second from Deanna. Is that clear, everybody? Any questions, discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you again. Are we moving on? Okay. Thank you. Executive report. Andrew?
Yeah, so it was a short period between our last DDA meeting and now, so it's been tricky trying to pin down some of our meetings, but from a economic development standpoint, it's been productive. We had 9 or so business retention visits in the downtown over the month of June, and we've also had some proactive property owners reach out and ask for assistance finding tenants before their current tenants move out, which is really encouraging to see, people taking proactive action, asking for assistance to find a tenant and not just putting a for rent sign in their window once that person leaves. So that has been good to see, but outside of that, not much else to report.
Okay, any questions, comments for Andrew? Thank you.
Yep.
Ad hoc committees, facade grant. Andrew.
So as kind of stated last meeting, for last year's facade program, we do have contracts out and received back from business owners. And then we do have an ongoing list for this year's facade program of interested businesses, and it's kind of a robust list now, so there's going to be a lot of interest in this year's facade program. And I think currently we have $100,000 allocated towards that. And I think we have roughly $27,000 just sitting in the revolving loan fund, which I know isn't very active. So just kind of putting it out there for, food for thought. With all the interest we do have in this year's facade program, maybe finding a way to transfer those funds into the facade program just to make it more effective, more robust, and being able to serve more businesses within the downtown district. Just because that $27,000 isn't being used really for anything, to my understanding at least, when you look at the finances.
So you're saying move the funds in the revolving loan program to the facade program?
Yeah, there's nobody's used that program, to my understanding, for, am I saying that correctly, Carmen?
So basically, since the revolving loan program is not an active DDA program that we currently do, even though that we're finalizing, there's one out there that we're finalizing, which should be completed with the last fiscal year. There are funds in that account of approximately $27,000. So after going forward into the next fiscal year, it's just going to be sitting there. So I wanted to bring up the fact that since we have so many people interested in the facade grant program, and, as part of the DDA, and we're trying to, incentivize business owners to keep up with their buildings and, making sure that we're keeping the downtown fresh, could we potentially allocate more further dollars into the facade grant program to hopefully, add more or give more people that are interested in the facade an opportunity to refresh their building or put dollars back into the downtown, especially with, our thoughts of the street date coming up and how do we keep things moving forward.
So a couple things on the topic. One would be that program historically has not been utilized a lot. But I would have to go look, I'd say we'd need to look at the interest rate on those loans, because for the last decade, people could get just as good of interest rates through their banks than they were getting through the DDA program, which probably is a significant part of why people weren't using the program. But with interest rates being higher now, potentially it's more advantageous and we could just promote the program better.
Who sets that interest rate, Tyler?
I believe, and this was my other point, that those funds were originally a grant. Barry Lind might have a better understanding of how those funds originally came to the DDA. I believe it was through the USDA.
It was.
And I was just going to suggest, I think that all the grant requirements and things have been met because we've recycled the funds enough and whatever, but I would just check and make sure there's no requirements on that to keep the program. So I'm not exactly sure who sets the rates.
I think if we're going to make a budget amendment or a transfer of funds, we should look at that program because I'm not opposed to any of this, but I think it's something that we need to look at. What are the tools that the DDA has and are they beneficial? And then would they be used? Because we haven't reviewed this
And that
program.
might be a good
So
thing
it
to do
was what-
next month anyway. And
How
then-
long has the program been in place? Rather, like, do you know, and like, how has it been promoted?
20 years.
Yeah.
20 years or so?
At least. I
Okay,
think
when was the
we'll-
last loan taken out?
Probably from the Spark Manistee competition.
Okay, so that was 2021? Or
Yeah,
2020?
no, I left in 2018, so 2019.
The barber shop.
Yep,
on
Jamie Catlett.
Jamie Catlett.
Well, whoever won that second event should have
DDA.
got a loan.
Purple paintbrush.
Oh, paintbrush.
But I don't know,
Anyway,
I
so-
wasn't around for that, so I don't
Okay.
know exactly what happened there.
Well, I
But
can review the program too and make sure
Yeah.
that like, you see what kind of requirements the USDA had in place. And then also, if we can have further discussion regarding whether or not that program's not feasible with interest rates.
And if it was 20 years ago, I highly doubt there's any requirements attached to it, but I would just say,
Yeah.
check and confirm that. And then the other comment I wanted to make was that it's a revolving loan program, so the funds are coming back and continually being recycled, whereas the grant is just gonna take that $25,000, go out the door and never come back.
Yeah.
So that was the only other comment I wanted to make.
We could also,
We're discussing this as if the program and the 27,000 are the same thing.
Right.
They're two separate decisions. Do we want to leave the infrastructure in place for this program? And do we want to move the 27 grand into facade grants? I think those are two different things. We can make a decision about the 27 grand without touching the program.
Yeah. I'd like to review both, though.
yeah.
Right.
And to that point too, Bruce, it's something where, maybe it's not the whole 27,000, we leave $10,000 in that fund, if we want to
Sure.
activate that program again. So maybe it's not the total 27,000, it's just $10,000 more, because, $10,000 more could be another application. It could be the,
If you could come back to us with like
Yeah.
a technical understanding what
yeah,
even the laws are.
Well, and to Bruce's point, the fiscal year ended, right? Or at the end of June.
Yeah.
So the P&L would be the final end of the year, right? And we had a $90,000 surplus, 60,000. I would say just take the 60 grand and put it towards facade grants. I don't know, but that's another whole larger discussion.
And if it hasn't been used in quite some time, I'd be curious whether or not the downtown business owners know that it's
out there, yeah,
We do.
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good
So,
point.
knowing what the loans can be used for, and then how we can better tell the merchants that this is another resource available to
Mhm.
you.
Because a startup business, accessing capital isn't extremely easy for them, and if we
Right.
have low-interest loans right now, it might be appealing to somebody.
100%.
The other, when we do review this program, the other thing that I want to look into is, I don't want to be a loan administrator. I think the loans are potentially a good thing. Is there a mechanism where we could work with one of the local banks and the DDA buys down the interest rate and then the bank administers it?
There was a partnership with West Shore Bank prior.
Yeah.
I also would like to mention Venture North is also another business that helps small businesses, with potential loans and potential grants. And they do also work with them as another institution to work with our small businesses. So that's another opportunity for businesses to work with.
That's a good productive thing to do, review the program.
Yeah, I would say.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we got to all this
Staff
by the facade
review
grant.
and
Yes.
provide-
Okay, so let's put the loan thing aside.
Yeah.
Andrew's gonna come back. So
Yeah,
we all-
I'll come back next month with a little more information on that and seeing how, I can ask business owners downtown too if they even know about the existence.
I
see
would,
if it's
I
even
would
out
bet
there.
it's very
It's-
low.
it's been-
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so moving on, is there anything else with facade grant?
No,
Okay.
just that we are having continued discussion throughout this month to kind of finalize this year's application and guidelines.
And we have a meeting scheduled tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes.
To review the program
Yes.
in general.
Could I ask one thing?
Yes.
We got a grant last year.
Yep.
Is that grant program an annual grant program? And if it is, do we have an application?
No, so that was special, that was directly from the Michigan Strategic Fund, so that was kind of a special request. I think that there wasn't that's not an annual grant program that we applied to.
It was a one-time thing.
Yeah, it was one time deal.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to Streetscape Committee. I know we have another meeting scheduled tomorrow. Anything to add, Andrew or Bill?
No, we have the quotes in, and they were just higher than expected, so further discussion was,
These were quotes for renderings.
yeah, quotes for renderings for the streetscape came in higher than intended. So we're gonna have further discussion in regarding also, the firm that may be doing it, just hesitations there as well. So further discussion is gonna be had this month, and hopefully we can have a little more concrete direction when it comes to the renderings come next DDA meeting. Bill, do you have anything to add to that?
I would just say, I think identifying that shared spaces grant and applying for that, and the work Spicer did accomplish some of the goals of the rendering. I mean, showing what could happen in a space downtown. So I think, yeah, what we're looking to accomplish, we just need to solidify like what exactly we're trying to get out of this rendering at this point. But I do think probably we need something, but not to the extent of what some submitted. So
Council did support the shared
they
spaces
did,
grant
yeah,
last
so
week.
it was great collaboration.
So
Anything
as
else?
per my comment before then, I mean, if this warrants for further discussion because things came in higher than, I think that it's important to talk about signage, but probably we do that in the future when we have further discussion.
Can you be more specific when you say signage? What do you mean?
Signage. Yep.
Wayfinding.
Wayfinding?
I really feel like our downtown is hurting from signage. One of the things that I specifically think of is like Vogue parking, theater parking in the back, or parking here, or when you do park up behind Jack Pine, kind of that shared space parking lot, Jack Pine and Manistee Tire that are there. Like downtown or entrance to downtown right here, we have those beautiful steps that come down by the public bathrooms there, just not really marked. Like, so if somebody parks up there, are they thinking they have to go all the way down to Division and back, or do they have to go to the other side? Is that Greenbush? The other side of, so marking what we do have downtown more visible for parking and pedestrian walking. Maybe we have kiosks or marquees or whatever that says like, this is what you're going to find on this block. You're going to find the Vogue Theater, and you're going to find Snyder Shoes, and you're going to find TJ's. Like, where are the restaurants? Just some better signage downtown to direct our visitors.
I think our committees discussed that, and that was one of the items ranked as kind of a more immediate need and probably a lower cost items, all compared to the other items. I thought, in San we're hoping maybe the DDA could partner with the Tourism Authority on this, but I don't know the timeline on that, but I would see it maybe as a proposal in the future that the DDA could act on. And I see this, and I think this is kind of lower cost, but it could be kind of building that fund balance to implement the streetscape. This could be a good first step that could be implemented by the DDA.
Yeah, I could always bring something back to the board to look at.
So I think that would be a good first success to show kind of what we're.
If there's time, let's bring it up at tomorrow's meeting.
Okay.
Just to see where it lands.
Another suggestion for signage too, just because you asked, you said, was that me? No. But also noting the businesses that are in the DDA that might not just be on River Street. So Redeemed and what's done on Washington, there's that tattoo place, and what's up on Division. Just kind of noticing all of the businesses in the downtown district, not just downtown.
It would need, my personal feeling is something like that would need to be a digital thing, because the businesses in the district change frequently.
Well, even some of the historical looking signs, they don't match, or you have to be right on it to know which way to the beach, which way to downtown, which way to parking. So some of our signage just in general, I think, is outdated for today's standards and how fast people drive and things like that, so, but it's not uniform, is the other component.
At one time, we did talk about, and it was just mentioned, but the digital kiosks, like on every block, you are here. Like, what do I touch? Where can I maneuver? Where are the beaches? Where's the shoe store? I love the shoe store. So anyways, where's ice cream? You know, where can I get food? So the digital kiosks were talked about at one time.
We'll bring it up. Thank you.
Okay.
Moving on to social district and events. Bill?
So our committee met, do you have the brochure draft? Or?
I wasn't able to make the edits within that timeframe, so I will have to bring that to the next meeting to finalize the brochure. I don't want to give it to the board without having it, final draft.
So I think we're hoping to move forward on, we have a brochure, a couple of highlights would be that, we're thinking there would be like a $500 deposit, $300 would be refundable, and then the DDA would keep, I think we were looking at, well, we're going to kind of standardize that at some point, but I think acknowledging that DPW is going to bring it down, pick it up, someone's going to have to review the check-in at the DDA, just kind of make sure everything's fine. So we're kind of putting a little bit of a cost to it to help make it sustainable. The non-refundable portion would start building to kind of be able to replace equipment if needed. There's going to be some wear and tear. We discussed the insurance would be on the event. It would be on the cities while it's at the DPW garage. So we wanted to start, I think the first time we discussed this, it was kind of in preparation for that Frostbite Festival. We now have the Fall Festival coming together, which is exciting, and so thank you for being here. These were kind of some of the items, if you look in your packet. The heater, I think we can also still bring down that fire pit. Foldable picnic tables, they're just more, they fold up pretty flat as opposed to the very heavy picnic tables we're bringing from the parks, which I think this
Bill,
is,
I don't have that packet. Where's that at?
it's right.
Am I missing it?
Oh,
Yeah, it's in the
This-
board pack.
Yeah, I printed it out.
All right, thank you.
So here's a list of the equipment.
Perfect.
So we're
Thank you.
looking for 4 of those, and then 4 of the portable signs that could be set up on the perimeter of the event. Those could just kind of, and you insert just some information about the event there, or, the schedule. Does everyone have this? So Kyle found this cool portable heater. These don't fall down. We just talking with Lindsay about her experience with some of those other heaters. The wind grabs the top, and then they're pain. We thought we'd start off with one to see how it worked. Foldable picnic table. So this is just kind of less bulky and cumbersome.
Is the intent that the group's asking to be funded?
These items,
Okay.
yeah. And then I'll open up for discussion. But, so these are the signs we're thinking about. They could be filled, again, with sand or water, make sure they'll stay in place. And then I think the idea of a portable PA system came up. This was one that looked somewhat robust, where announcements could be made, some music could be played during the event. So we just thought these were kind of good first step items that could be used at the Fall Festival.
But we don't have a trailer. right?
We don't, and I think, and the reason for that is we're trying to get what items we're gonna have and then get a trailer suitable in size. But I think we also want to make sure we have enough room to add a couple things, but we wanted to get the core. We'll probably set up an area in the garage and see how wide and how we could stack it in, and then go from there in terms of figuring out a trailer. So trailer is probably gonna be the last thing we look to purchase.
Bill, I'm not intimate with the budget and what's allocated for this. I'd recommend
20,000.
that you go up to the mics or the speakers that have a stand.
Okay.
Too many times there's wind, rain, dirt, dust, and you probably want to elevate the audio.
Okay.
I guess my suggestion would be, if we move forward with this, that we move forward with our dollar figure, and not these specific items. And, because I have comments about all these items too, positive or negative, doesn't matter. I'd rather just do that with the board and they can do what they think, the subcommittee.
Yeah.
I think we get the feeling of what's, and we've been talking about it enough, but personally, I'd rather, I can't make that motion, but I'd rather just see, hey, we allocate whatever funds the board thinks is necessary for step one.
Do you need anything from us at this time?
Well, I think we want to just actually physically order.
I think he needs allocation of funds.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, my only comment on all this is that I feel like a lot of the attention is focused on the trailer and these items and things, when there's an opportunity to work with other entities in the community to bring like a professional event position or contractor or something, and address that, and then they would bring these things themselves. So that's my only comment on it.
And I think where this has been coming from is when there's a business within the DDA that wants to have an event on their own, then we can help with some tools for that success. Is that?
Yeah, and I understand that, but the reason why we have businesses that are trying to do these events on their own is because the community entities aren't doing it.
I don't know that. If a business wants to do it, they want to do it. I don't know if needs to be more of a reason than that.
But it is to kind of allow it to be more of a, we're facilitating it, but we're not managing the whole process, and which is
Yeah,
kind of help.
I don't feel that we're undercutting, professionals who do this. They're not, it's not happening. This is getting something happening.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, do we need a motion to?
If we're going to allocate funds, there's $20,000 budgeted, but I think they're asking for a dollar amount here, whatever.
Is everyone on board with these items up to 5,000 with some minor changes of,
Well, I want to take the specific, I want to talk in generalities, in the speaker system, those. We're okay with those items and, make the motion to move the money. If you make a different decision about brand and stuff, I don't want to quibble over that.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
do you want to do up for these types of items up to 5,000 or something like that?
My
52.
thought is if 20,000's been allocated, then I would say you go at least to 8,000. Allows you some leeway, some quantity changes. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, have we priced trailers yet? Do we have an idea how big or how small this thing's gonna be yet?
I did look at one, it was like 8,000, but you're right, it depends on what you're getting. I mean. so-
I was looking at trailers the other day, I was a little shocked.
They're expensive.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. So you're right, I wonder, this was kind of a first
Yep.
current proposed purchases, you're right, there's gonna be more, and then, you're right, maybe we need a very large trailer, and then we'd have to talk to the board about that if it's above the budgeted amount.
So is there a motion to support this in any way?
I'll make a motion to support this and move $8,000, to allocate $8,000 to this. Does that work?
For
What do you
these
need?
types of
Per-
items. Okay.
Okay. Is that clear as mud from Bruce?
I'll second that motion.
Second from Dee. Everybody understand?
$8,000 being moved from the budget to start working on purchasing these items. That's what I'm understanding.
So we have 20,000 available, 8,000 for these types of items.
We're allowing the board to use $8,000. Or the subcommittee. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks. Riverwalk update, Bill? Anything?
I think we discussed the last meeting how it had to go back out to bid. The EDA was very helpful in that they moved the substantial completion date or the final completion from March to to September. I think that's going to open up, get us more bids. So it's coming back, I believe it's July 26th, the bids are due. So I think it was a bad bidding time. Also, the constraints about getting it all done before March, considering our spring sometimes is not a good construction time. So we're hopeful we'll get some good bids.
What are we doing down there, Bill?
So we received an EDA grant to fix up the Riverwalk down here in the downtown area, all the way to the other side of Spruce. So new boards, new fixing the switchback, adding a new switchback between the butterfly garden area.
With this dredging, because my understanding the Riverwalk is not passable.
So that's a completely, so this is just for the downtown area because the DDA allocated $240,000 towards this. But then I could give an update on that.
Sure, I think that's appropriate.
So the, yeah. All right, start with this. So there was a change of scope where they started dredging a little bit further east. And it was kind of communicated. We had a pre-construction meeting. I'm talking with the contractor 20 minutes later. Jeff, understanding was they were going to do further east. Sean, whose house is above that shed, noticed that there's a historic replica net shed along the Riverwalk that was purchased with a coastal zone management grant back in 1999, 2000. So it started, looks like it undercut that structure, and actually the net shed's kind of pulling on the Riverwalk. We've been in discussions with the Army Corps about, who's fixing it. Can we remove the net shed? Who's going to do this work? Driving new piles, things like that. They were supposed to do a multi-point sounding off of it yesterday, so they can see some of the piles if they're free, what's happening. But it's been all this happened very quickly. And we're notifying them. It looks like they dredged in an area. It was very specific on one of the Army Corps maps. It says area not maintained due to unstable soils. And so it doesn't say like no dredge, but it says like not maintained. I think they were just kind of looking at the depths, and I think the freighters, it gets a little tight in there, so they thought they dredged there. But long story short, they were kind of like, well, this is a federal shipping channel. It might not have been built up to snuff. And I kind of talked to them about the whole value of the Riverwalk is the continuity from the beach to the downtown. So the fact that it's closed, the net shed is one thing, but I want to get the Riverwalk open, and I'm trying to get a sense of urgency. The Army Corps does not have a mobile group of maintenance people, so all of it's a contract thing, and I think they're really searching for as-builts of the structure. Looking through all the documents, the grant, I can't find as-builts. So they're really trying to find out what happened, because to engineer a solution, and I think they're very cognizant of once you start working on it, you own it. So I'm trying to get some resolution with that, but yeah. I don't know if you have any questions about that. It's been a busy week with that.
No doubt. Okay, thank you, Bill. Any questions for Bill? Okay, moving on to old business. Andrew?
Yeah, so I attached both of those letters, the initial letter that, would go out to all the businesses. Some of the language has to change now because it's not as early in the summer as it once was. And then there's a more targeted follow-up, 3 or 4 locations that probably need to have some sort of cover. I am meeting with 2 property owners in the next coming weeks to kind of discuss, to walk their property. I'm hoping that I can just have discussion with them and kind of get a pulse on if they're receptive to this at all.
I reviewed it briefly.
Okay.
I think it's well intended. For me, it would be helpful to see bullet points.
Sure.
Sometimes at a glance, it's like
Okay.
another letter from the city.
Yeah, okay.
Not really, but but I think it's fine either way.
Okay.
But thank you for that. Any questions or discussion, suggestions for Andrew? Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
New business? I don't think there's any. Public comment?
Guess that's me.
All right.
Thank you for letting me sit at this table. Awkward, I didn't know.
Introduce
It's my first
yourself.
DDA.
Introduce yourself, please.
I'm Anita Schaefer. I own Corp City Emporium, Riverside Toys, Schaefer House. I'm doing Fall Festival, and I just wanted to attend this meeting because I knew you would be talking about stuff that affects that. I'm also meeting with Bill and Chief Glass later this week to go over the special use permit and all of the other things. So I have a few of these I can give out if anyone's interested. I think some of you have already seen it. So it's just information of what's going on with the Fall Festival. And to be clear, the first time I saw what's on the list of what was being purchased was today, which is great. I appreciate Deanna and everybody looking into what can be purchased. And it's not just for me, obviously. It's actually, the TJ Block Party. Sorry, I'm going out. Coming up. You have it, right? Okay.
Anita,
I do have it.
are you doing this with the TJ's Block Party?
I am not.
Okay, all right,
I
so
am
this
not.
is a
So
separate
Paul-
event?
Yeah, so, I am so sorry. Okay.
Do you have enough?
Yeah, I think we're good unless someone over there would like to see it. I am not doing it with the TJ's Block Party. It's not, this is something merchant trick-or-treating is done every year. Before I was here, I've only been here 4 years. I don't know what was done as far as Fall Festival previous to that. I know that at some point, other entities had that position, and then it went to Booze, Brews, and Brats at the Elks. I reached out to them like 3 years ago to just see if I could help in some way, and it turned into kind of me doing the downtown part of it, and they just wanted to focus on Booze, Brews, and Brats, which is perfectly fine. Angie at the library is my co-chair, and she is really a wealth of knowledge and access to the families and the children that obviously attend this event. It's a local event. So basically trick-or-treating downtown, but this year, since we kind of have backing from the city now and I can fundraise and I can do a little more, I want to have a banner, much like the sleigh bell, as soon as I can find out from someone the size of it. If anyone knows what the sleigh bell and the entryway can help me so that I can order that banner. Jack Pine said they did not do it. I believe Amor Signs did it previously before they went. So I just need the size of that so I can get a quote. Beyond that, we just want to have a focal area like the Block Party where we shut down between the Vogue and TJ's. Live music. I think we're going to pass on the fire pit because kids will be in costume. However, that heater looks awesome, so that would be great. So live music. I have a group of 6 people. Deanna's on my group. So she's helping me navigate some of this. I've never done an event on my own, really. I mean, I've been doing this with Angie for a couple of years, but we just did it on our own. We had a parade. We had 1,500 kids come down and get candy last year and their families. So it's getting large, and so I wanted it to be more organized. We're hoping to maybe get Chief Glass, maybe our mayor, so we could do like a whipped cream pie throwing contest at them. Cornhole, we have Splintercraft making a tic-tac-toe board. So games, live music, do your trick-or-treating, and then maybe go to the other events like Booze, Brews, and Brats later or the Ghost Ship later. Separate events, but we really wanted the group to focal. Like last year, everybody did kind of their own events in their own stores, and that was fine because we didn't have a fiduciary, we didn't have any of that, so everyone was doing their own little things. This year, we want to have the group have like an actual block party. So that is the intention, and it's kind of listed here, and I'm looking for sponsors. I have a couple already, so working on that. I've got my paperwork ready to go to Bill as best I can. He'll direct me. Got my insurance. So, I mean, I'm working through the steps. I'll meet with Bill and Chief Glass on Friday, meet with my group Monday morning, and then turn in everything next week so that we can get permission to shut down that street and everything.
So I just want to add, so I know that Anita and Angie have been doing just a remarkable job on this, and last year's turnout was really good. Something that the trailer will bring, we are working on a form also that says if you want the trailer, but this is what you need to do. You have a special event form, you go to the city council, or do you need to initiate Chief Glass because do we need more police presence downtown?
Right.
So with this trailer also will come this wealth of information form, like this is what you need to do to hold an event. So I think Anita's learning all this, like I learned it for Frostbite, Anita's learning it, so we put all of this great information together, and here it is. And then here's part of the ask, that is the trailer.
So we are in public comment right now. Anything, thank you, Anita,
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank you.
Any other public comment? Please.
Hi, I'm Teresa Waldo. I'm the Community Development Director for the City of Manistee. I also do planning and zoning. In your packet, you would have received a letter that my staff, Jerry Blue, the building inspectors, put together. We really felt the need with Jerry and I starting just in October of last year that people are not always in quite their understanding of safe build is no longer. We do have the staff right at the City Hall for building and for planning and zoning. And it's just a letter to reiterate that if you start any project, first you're in downtown, it's a historical district, you should probably check with us first, any questions we can answer, get your certificate of appropriateness, go through our HDC, and then also building permits, and just kind of give them some rules and regulations of what's permitted, what do you need a permit for, and then we're here to help you with all of that. So if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Yep. you're
Appreciate
welcome.
it. Any other public comment?
I do have a couple things that you made a list.
You made a list? And you are?
Very little.
Thank you.
First thing is, what's up with the lack of banners downtown? There's a couple down at the entrance, but I know the old ones have been up there for a couple of years and needed to come down because they weren't working, but we're now July and it looks not that great to have all these empty banners. I was on the DDA and was instrumental in purchasing those, so I have a little bit of history there, and just to kind of bring some of that up, the reason the DDA invested in the banners is it's cheaper than flowers, because we used to have 2 flowers on every pole, and those are expensive both to purchase and to water. The banners, because generally you put up banners and they can last a couple of years, the annual outlay for banners is less expensive, so that's kind of the reason we have all these banners in town. And 2, the season of banners tends to be longer than our season for flowers, so we get more coverage and a little more beautification downtown more year-round. At the time we put them in, DPW said we could not leave them up in the winter, but obviously they've changed their minds because the social district ones were up throughout the winter, so we have an opportunity to have some beautification on our downtown district year-round that didn't have previously. So then that kind of leads me into, so the last banners we had were the social district banners, and they served a purpose for the time they were there, and I understand that history with COVID and everything, and the creation of social districts, but to my knowledge, we still have a social district, but unless the rules have changed, we no longer have signage as to the boundaries of the social district. And it used to be the case that you had to have garbage cans at each entrance so that people could dispose of their cups when they left, so that they weren't carrying them beyond the district boundaries. And recently I was in Ludington, and they still have those things. So I'm not even sure we're following the rules for social districts with what we currently have. But the rules may have changed, so I'm not sure on that. My next comment is also kind of a beautification thing. Not sure why the decision was made after 2 years of where the planter locations were, but to me, they don't look nearly as nice up against the buildings as they did the last couple of years out near the street. They were so much more visible and so much more attractive in the locations they've been the last couple of years, and now they just kind of blend in. If you're a pedestrian actually walking, yes, but if you're driving through, you don't even know they're there. So I think that was a step backwards. And then the last comment I'll have is on the earlier discussion with the revolving loan fund. And I would suggest that the board think long and hard about taking funds whose purpose is ongoing and to provide value in a revolving, ongoing basis. Those funds have been being used for 20 years and have accomplished a lot. To just spend them in a one-time thing and then that money's gone. So, but I do think that that program is not promoted, and therefore I think for any small business starting up, that is, access to capital is critical, and I don't think this organization is doing enough to promote that. But that just may be what this focus of this organization is now versus what it used to be. If this is a bricks and mortar organization, then all of those programs aren't met. All the education stuff that I'm talking about, revolving loans, is not a focus of this organization. That's fine, but if it is, then they're being ignored. So that is what I would say.
Thanks, Barry. Anyone else? Okay, moving on to board member comments. Ben, do you have anything?
I do not.
Okay. Could be staff too. Carmen, do you have anything?
I have a couple things. I'd like to answer some of the very concerns and questions that you have regarding the social district. So there has been, from the banners that we have had in the past, which were the bright teal, those were removed, and then we partnered with the Tourism Authority. We kind of did a rebrand of the social district, so therefore we had to purchase new banners, and then, of course, the lag time over time, I didn't want to put them up over the winter to have them not be nice for the summer, and then come to discover that the print company printed the wrong color of the banners, so they are actually not supposed to be orange. And so with that being said, I am working closely with them, and I've got my hand pretty tied up with them and working with getting more banners, which they should be coming by the end of this week or early next week. So we'll be working with DPW on that. And then regarding the planters, I know that you had mentioned they don't look as nearly as nice, but this year we took the approach of contacting all of the downtown businesses to ask them if they would like to have a planter. Now, there were some that didn't want a planter, and there were some that chose to have their own. So it was just trying to find that balance of what to do, and then having a lot of concerns last year about cars bumping into the planters. Now, we all know that people can't park correctly, and because they were all placed in the X mark of the downtown district. So with that being said, that's the approach that I took this year, because last time Kelly Greavy had taken on that responsibility. So moving forward, I will take your comments and try to see what we can do for next year. And then that's all I have.
Thank you, Carmen. Andrew?
Nope, I got nothing.
Okay. I just have one thing, kind of going back to our bylaw change, just in the interest of clarity. With my business and travel schedule, it gets very heavy in the fall, and I looked at my calendar, and I potentially will be gone for our September meeting, and definitely will be gone for October and November. So
Expect a letter.
that's fine. I'm just putting it out there. That's
The
fine.
only excuse was left
Well.
in.
So that's all I have.
I don't have.
Okay.
Just an update. Thank you to the board for their support for that shared streets and services grant. The resolution was submitted to MDOT for the grant application. We hope to hear back in August. Very positive meeting. The ordinance from 25 years ago about no vegetation downtown and no angled parking, no improvements on the plat between Pine and Spruce on River Street. That had the first reading for repeal, so we'll have another reading. And also the services agreement was approved, so appreciate everyone's support working through that. But I think placement of garbage cans, Carmen, just let us know, and we can put them out there. So, thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Bruce?
Just a note, work of the, the trailer, the party trailer committee, is paying off. The guidance, the city is a fiduciary.
So we discussed that on, I don't know if I speak freely, but I think the sleigh bell is so costly, it makes sense to have a fiduciary and have but I think that model, that idea of having, like, you have a budget for the event, and then you can have some sponsors and a level, and that was kind of what we discussed. So I think this one's small enough, it doesn't need a fiduciary, but we've just been kind of working through some of these issues. But Forest Fest is a big one, sleigh bell. These other ones don't have a bigger budget, like Frostbite, the Fall Festival, but these conversations need to be had.
But your engagement in this is spot on. Yay. So my comment was, like a thumbs up thing.
Thank you, Bruce.
Yeah.
Sammy?
Thanks, Barry, for the comments. I always appreciate. The Tourism Authority has a agreement in place with 9 and 10 to install a webcam downtown. So we're still working on what that location is, but our downtown will be featured during weathercasts, things like that, which is great. The other component is it comes with a year schedule of advertising and promotion. So we're going to use that to help support and drive awareness and help elevate some of the events, not only in downtown, but across the county, to just bring a little more visibility to Northern Michigan and their readers through their My North website and magazine, to just help elevate Manistee County in general. But the big part is a weather cam downtown Manistee, so we're super excited about that.
Thanks, Sammy.
It's very exciting.
Very exciting.
Can it go on private buildings?
Okay, so now I can say thank you to Anita and Angie for all their efforts and all their work. I also just want to say just all of the efforts of our economic development and our tourism authority. If we have another weekend like we had last weekend and things keep going and the new people that are coming to town, I just say kudos, and I'm so excited to be a part of a business owner downtown right now in Manistee, Michigan, because some of the promises from economic development and the tourism are showing, and it's exciting. So thank you.
Thanks, Deanna. Okay, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Motion from Bill,
Second.
second from Ben. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, that was a busy sport this